Some players have seen their value plummet in fantasy drafts recently. Should you be buying the dip or should you be cautious? Stay tuned because we're about to tell you. Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Pierre, he's Chris. Now, with camp news constantly coming out, we're hearing some negative reports about guys that we were excited about just a few weeks ago. So, should we be worried about these guys, avoiding them in drafts, or should you be maybe taking advantage of their lower ADP? All right, so let's start with Ronald Jones of the Kansas City Chiefs. Obviously a good offense to be in, but now we're hearing a 7th round rookie is passing him by. Jerick McKinnon is revived. Chris, is Ronald Jones even worth drafting at this point?
No, there's no way you can be drafting Ronald Jones right now. I mean, if you look at the preseason game, when the starters played, it was mostly Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a little bit of Jerick McKinnon, and a moderate amount of Isaiah Pacheco. No Ronald Jones at all. And reports we're hearing from the KC beat writers who are really tapped in is the Chiefs are probably only going to carry 3 running backs. And that means Ronald Jones is going to be the odd man out, and that means he's probably going to be a cut candidate. Talked about it when they signed him. He's not very good. And I don't care where he lands. It's not like his fantasy value is going to be better than it was with the Chiefs. So no, there's just no way you can be drafting Ronald Jones.
Yeah, I don't think so, because even if you could say, some of these guys we'll talk about, well, if they're cut, they might land on another team. What hope do we really have for Rojo if he can't make it in KC? What situation does he really have a lot of value? What we know is, look, he's got speed. He's a talented runner if things break right, with blocking, but he's not good in pass protection, and he's not really a natural receiver, so you're not going to see him in on third downs and passing downs, and we know that targets are actually more valuable than carries for running backs, so that kills a lot of his value, and so I really don't see a path. If he goes on any team, it's going to be one that's probably not a very good offense, which means you're losing hope for touchdowns, and, I think Jones is a guy you just pretty much have to avoid at this point. All right, now what about rookie Christian Watson out of Green Bay? A lot of high hopes for him. Look, I'll admit I was kind of excited by his skill set, when you hear him going to Green Bay, but now he's been passed by, I think, pretty much every other receiver in camp there. And just today, Aaron Rodgers saying that he's going to be a work in progress. Not what you want to hear.
Yeah, not what you want to hear, but, he didn't started camp on the pup, which isn't good, which is a setback, so not going to be a lot of hype for him because of that, but I still think he's okay if he falls far enough because the potential is there. What do they have? They have Sammy Watkins, they have Allen Lazard, they have Randall Cobb. I know everybody's going crazy about Romeo Doubs, but Aaron Rodgers has been talking down about him too lately, so I think Watson probably worth it as a late round flyer. More than likely he's going to be a guy who's on waiver wires in most leagues, and then will be a hot waiver wire pickup at some point and maybe has some nice games down the stretch. But not completely off him like I am with Ronald Jones, just very cautious with him.
Yeah, honestly, at this point, I think I'm just kind of down on all Green Bay receivers because, like you said, I mean, Sammy Watkins, no, I've been off him for years. Randall Cobb, really, he's just there to placate Aaron Rodgers. Allen Lazard, I think, will catch a few touchdowns, but is he really an alpha receiver? No. Dobbs is exciting, but I already talked about him. I did a little short on my thoughts. Look, let's not get carried away. And then Watson, I mean, maybe as a late best ball pick, he'll have those couple of big plays here and there, but there's no way I can trust this guy in redraft. So I'm definitely out on him, and not just because of what Aaron Rodgers says, because you can take that for what it's worth. All right, Zach Wilson been in the news a lot lately for various reasons, but recently because of that injury, within minutes, Twitter telling us that he's out for the season with a torn ACL, and then minutes later, he's fine. He'll miss a couple of preseason weeks. It might even be back for week 1, who knows. But here's the thing. He hasn't been looking good even before then. Between the injury and, the way he's performed, do you think Wilson's ready to take a step forward, or are you just backing off?
I mean, I wasn't really on Wilson much anyways, maybe as like a deep QB2 or QB3 in best ball formats, and I'm sure for most people outside of Superflex or 2 QB leagues, you're not really on Zach Wilson anyways. But now we got to be even more concerned. We're hearing good things about Joe Flacco, and look, I'm not a Joe Flacco guy by any stretch, but if Joe Flacco goes out there, if Zach Wilson can't play the first 4 weeks and Joe Flacco's playing well, I don't know if the Jets necessarily go back to Zach Wilson. It doesn't sound like, Robert Saleh has, full confidence in Zach Wilson here. So even in your Superflex 2 QB leagues or even your best ball leagues, I'd be pretty nervous about drafting Zach Wilson right now.
For a while I was thinking I had Zach Wilson over guys like Trevor Lawrence and some other young quarterbacks because I think he had better weapons, honestly. I love Elijah Moore. Garrett Wilson's a good get. Got a couple of pass-catching tight ends and then Breece Hall, but just haven't really heard of any growth. Like, stepping forward, the injury I don't think really matters. It's the fact that he just doesn't seem ready for the big time. I'm almost starting to get Sam Darnold vibes, but, let's not get there yet. Antonio Gibson this week been all in the news for all the worst reasons. Fumbling in the preseason, get to work with a punt unit. Everyone's talking about Brian Robinson now. I mean, it looks like he's got his own, private suite in the doghouse here. But here's the thing. When a guy like that, who we know is talented, if he falls far enough, are you going to buy the dip and say, you know what, at this point, why not take a chance on him based on his ADP?
I mean, if he falls far enough, sure. But look, ever since they drafted Brian Robinson, I know both you and I have been really low on Antonio Gibson. I've been saying Antonio Gibson should be treated like a handcuff, like a Darrell Henderson type, like a Khalil Herbert type. Maybe not quite Khalil Herbert level, like a pure handcuff, but he should be treated like, a handcuff with some decent weekly value, because what's his role really going to be here? We know J.D. McKissic is the 2-down back and the pass-catching back. He's not going to catch many passes. And if Brian Robinson takes any carries and any goal line carries away from Antonio Gibson, even if it's a small amount, what does that really leave Antonio Gibson? A running back who's getting, 50% of the carries and that's it? Very little passing game work? Like, that is not much value in fantasy football today. Like, there's way better options than him. So to me, he's a guy that has to fall, down into those double-digit ranges to even feel comfortable about taking him. And then you got to worry about the fact that it doesn't seem like Washington likes him very much at all, or at least Ron Rivera doesn't like him very much at all. And if he fumbles one more time, is he even going to see the field? So, yeah, I'm not saying I'm totally out on him like I am with Ronald Jones, but he's going to have to fall pretty far for me to feel comfortable drafting him.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. Honestly, I almost feel like, we were off of Gibson before it was cool. It's like, I haven't drafted him at all. Even in my underdog drafts, I don't have any Gibson, and, why would I start now? Honestly, if he keeps falling, there's a reason for it, right? Sometimes you look at the trend, you say, this is not an overreaction. This is a natural reaction to a guy who's disappointed last year, and he's looking, instead of bouncing back strong, he's doing the opposite. Maybe crumbling under the pressure. Maybe the competition is too much. I don't know. But let's remember, this was not a running back coming out of college. This is a converted receiver, and maybe he's just not cut out for the job. And then let's end with my guy, Treylon Burks. Look, all offseason we've heard as far as the conditioning and not adjusting well. And he had a really good practice, and then he left with an injury. I mean, at this point, are you just too worried about all the red flags?
Nope. I am actually on Treylon Burks now, and I was not really on Treylon Burks before the draft. After the draft, I didn't think Tennessee was a great spot for him. I wasn't quite as high on him as you were going into the draft. I didn't think he was a terrible prospect. He just wasn't one of my favorite prospects. But now I'm all aboard Treylon Burks because he's an incredible value now. Do we really think that Treylon Burks is going to be nothing as an NFL wide receiver, especially on a team with Robert Woods coming off ACL? People talking up Robert Woods like he's going to be this incredible receiver this year. The dude is 30 years old coming off ACL injury. Nick Westbrook, Akini, they don't have anybody there. Sure, like many rookie wide receivers, Treylon Burks may not smash right out of the gate, but he's going to get going at some point this season. I think he's going to have a big second half. I think Treylon Burks is now an incredible value. He's gone from a guy who I didn't really want to draft because I thought he was a little overhyped to a guy who I think is now an incredible value. So you'll be happy to hear this, but I am all aboard the Treylon Burks train now.
That's good to hear. You caught me a little off guard there. I wasn't sure, but it's true. I almost love that he's being played down so much because, in time, he will be fine. And this is a guy, he's going to be, without a doubt, their main red zone threat, right? The big body guy. That's why they got him. They don't have another player like him at receiver, especially. Robert Woods is fine, but like you said, he's not an alpha. Never even been the top target on any team he's been with. And so Burks, he's going to be that guy. Look, maybe not week 1 or 2, But when does it really matter in fantasy? It matters at the end of the year, and I think that's where we're going to see him take off. So yeah, I'm definitely buying the dip there. All right, so those are some ADP followers that, we got different opinions about, because sometimes they fall for a reason. Sometimes you can't listen to what everyone's saying. You got to make smart picks at the right time. That's what we're here to help you do, guys. All right, thanks for watching.